You know, this pandemic's really had me thinking. Being in a band, it's overrated. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Taylor, and today we're going to talk about why I think being in a band is overrated.
But Taylor, you're in a band. If it's so overrated, why are you in a band?
Well, that's because most of my thoughts in this video are kind of bullshit. But let's go down this rabbit hole together and see if any of these thoughts actually hold water.
I'm gonna read your thoughts.
The first reason being in a band is overrated, playing shows. Okay, so it's Friday night, your band has a show booked, you guys have done everything you can to promote this show, and 12 people show up. And it's mostly the other bands and their girlfriends.
We expected to walk into a packed house filled with Faygo drinking, face-painted hardcore juggalos.
Instead, we walked into a depressing rap concert with fans of like 7.
We've all been there, and I think it's something that everyone can relate to. And it totally sucks when you put all this time and energy into a live production and no one shows up to see it. Not only that, but then you have a sound guy who doesn't want to be there, cranks everything up to 10, and totally makes your live sound shit. And as much as I like playing to other bands and getting the respect of my peers, you want to play to actual people, right? Right. Also, usually as an opening band, especially for a national spot, you don't get paid. Maybe you'll get some drink tickets, but if you don't drink, then what good are those? That'll pay for your gas and the depreciation of your gear and the muscle that you pulled in your neck while you were headbanging during the last song. Totally fair compensation. And what about selling tickets? You get a bunch of tickets up front that you have to sell in order to play the show, and if you don't end up selling them, you end up owing the promoter money. Seems worth it, right? And what about your band's other members? There's usually 1 or 2 members in a band that just don't do anything during load-in. Like they can't help the drummer carry his cymbal stands, or they can't help the guitar player carry their guitar cabinets. It's usually the singer. Number 2 on my list, recording. Alright, so your band's been going for a while, and you have a handful of songs that you play really well, and you figure it's time to get these songs recorded so that we can get it out to all of our friends and show them what we've been up to. Great idea. Wrong. So you have 2 different options when you're recording your band's songs. 1, you can do it yourself, or 2, you can pay someone else to do it. Let's talk about each one of these options and why they both kind of suck. Let's say you know your way around Reaper, you're pretty good with plugins, you have a couple microphones, you think you want to do this DIY thing yourself, right?
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Bad idea. Not only is the final product not going to be that great, but you're probably going to spend an exorbitant amount of time doing it because you're too close to the source material, meaning you'll be second guessing every decision that you make in the mixing process because you're not sure if this is the sound you're going for or not. And as a guitar player, I have definitely been in this boat, and I have spent hours dialing in a guitar tone that I thought was good, only to come back the next day and realize it was total shit. Well, then pay someone else to do it, right? Well, yeah, that's the logical answer, but usually if you want to get into a good studio and end up with a good final product, it's really, really expensive.
$1 million.
And most likely 2 to 3 other members in your band don't have jobs and they're not going to be able to contribute, meaning yourself or maybe you and 1 other member are going to end up picking the check for the recording sessions. Not only that, but those 2 to 3 other members that don't have jobs will probably not know their parts when they get into the studio and waste your and the engineer's time.
The first one starts on the open, the second one starts on this one,
Yeah.
and then the third one starts on that one.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
It's the notes in between are fucking with me.
Which in turn, not only will you have to go back and redo their parts, but you will end up paying double for. And let's say you go through all this hassle of recording an album or a demo, and you get it out to the marketplace, you might get noticed by a label. You might get a fan base from it. And those are pretty big variables because guess what? There are a million other bands out there just like you doing the same thing, trying to get the attention of the same people. Good luck. All right, that brings me to my third point. Other members. This is probably the worst thing about being in a band. Other people. Guaranteed at least one of your members is going to have an alcohol or drug addiction.
I am addicted to inhalants. 8 to 12 cans a day. It's like I'm walking on sunshine.
At least another one of your members, or maybe the same member, won't have a place to live and won't have a job and won't have any money to contribute to things like recording. You'll probably end up with at least one member that's a prima donna that doesn't want to do any work.
I've been called the songbird of my generation by people who've heard me.
and has no ideas to contribute, but has plenty of opinions to contribute when you have an idea. We all know those guys.
It's the worst piece of shit we've ever done, and it's not leaving this room.
And the majority of members in your band will be completely lazy and unmotivated, and you will not be able to get them to do anything because that's just how musicians are. Musicians absolutely don't want to do any work unless they're forced to, and even then it is an incredible chore just to get them to learn their parts. And despite this totally unbalanced input of work, everyone will want input in the artistic direction of the band.
It has an agenda. It's representing lots of views on nature, morale, God within nature, God within in man.
And that'll come in various forms, but usually in the input of, oh, we should sound more like this band, or, oh, I liked when this band did this thing, we should do that more often. And that brings me to my fourth point, why being in a band is overrated. Practicing. So here's how this usually goes. You start a band, you write these songs, you're really excited about it, you've put a lot of time into practicing your instrument and getting everyone together, and they cancel.
Please don't be upset with me. You have your health. Be thankful.
More often than not, at least one of your members is going to cancel band practice, and you will end up paying for a space that you never use. One of your band members is going to come up with some dumb reason why they can't make it to practice. Oh, it was on Sunday? I thought it was on Saturday. Oh, my car ran out of gas, dude. I broke my drum throne and I don't have anything to sit on. And on that same note, where do you even practice? You have to find a spot where you're able to be loud enough that your drummer can play over the rest of the band trying to talk. Or loud enough for your guitar player to completely drown out the rest of the musicians. And if you're not fortunate enough to live in a house with a basement or some sort of modified room where you can be that loud, you're most likely going to have to rent a commercial space. And they're not cheap. And it requires that someone, probably you, end up be on the lease and be responsible for rent every month when the rest of the band cannot come up with their share.
No car, no money, you're having a bad day.
Awesome, I know. And the last reason that being in a band is overrated: gear. Gear's expensive, it costs a lot of money to maintain, you'll most likely end up incurring some repair costs when the bass player spills his beer on your amp, or when the drummer drops your guitar off the stage.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Or when your vocalist decides to jump into the drum set to impress the 12 people that showed up to watch you play. Alright guys, obviously I'm joking. I don't think being in a band is overrated. I very much enjoy playing music and being in a band. Hopefully you found this video humorous and maybe some of you can identify with some of the stuff that I'm talking about. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.